young and up-and-coming teams who had big wins last night. The Pistons once again beat the Knicks, their third victory over the Knicks so far this season, closing out that series 3-0. Last night, Detroit won at Madison Square Garden by 15 points, and they were without All-Star center Jalen Duren and his backup Isaiah Stewart. And the Spurs beat Phoenix by 27 points, as Devin Booker only played 9 minutes for the Suns, and Dylan Brooks, you boy, was serving a suspension. Wilbon, who had the more impressive win, the Pistons or the Spurs?
Yeah, Spurs, nice job out of you. Go have some cold cuts. The New York Knicks, we signed off their show yesterday, and I was screaming louder than I just was in the tanking segment.
Yeah.
The Knicks had better win, and they better win convincingly.
That's
Instead, they get their doors blown off in Madison Square Garden by a team missing its second-best player and his backup. What? They're missing all their muscle, and Cade Cunningham goes in there and basically points his finger in the chest or face of every New York Knick. Tony, the Knicks can't beat them. I know the Knicks had a similar situation with Boston last year, and they were still able to come back and flip it in the playoffs. I don't see that. The Detroit Pistons are for real.
I don't want to let you off the hook quite this easily. I want to go back.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to PTI. Tonight, we are talking about two teams that are sending very different messages to the rest of the NBA. The Detroit Pistons walked into Madison Square Garden without their starting center and his backup, and still beat the New York Knicks by 15 points. The San Antonio Spurs demolished the Phoenix Suns by 27. And Michael Wilbon is here to tell you exactly why one of these wins is far more impressive than the other. Let's start with the numbers, because they're staggering. The Pistons have now beaten the Knicks 3 times this season. Combined margin, 84 points. Last night's win came with Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart both out, their entire frontcourt muscle. And Cade Cunningham still went into the Garden and put on a clinic. Wilbon is incredulous. The Knicks had better win, and they better win convincingly. Instead, they get their doors blown off in Madison Square Garden by a team missing its second-best player and his backup. What? They're missing all their muscle. And Cade Cunningham goes in there and basically points his finger in the chest or face of every New York Knick. This is the kind of dominance that transcends a single game. It's a psychological edge. The Pistons have made the Knicks their personal project, and they're not letting up. The Knicks can't beat them. I know the Knicks had a similar situation with Boston last year, and they were still able to come back and flip it in the playoffs. I don't see that. The Detroit Pistons are for real. Tony Kornheiser jumps in with the counterpoint. He reminds Wilbon that yesterday, he was adamant that the Knicks had to win this game, and win big. They didn't. And nothing terrible happened. The world is still spinning. But Wilbon isn't buying the "it's just one game" narrative. The Knicks have now lost by 84 points in 3 games to Detroit, by 31, by 38, and last night at home by 15. The Knicks look like a D3 team against Detroit. There's no reason to ever believe that Detroit won't beat them. He acknowledges that last year, Detroit beat the Knicks 3 out of 4 in the regular season and then lost to them in the playoffs. That renders regular season results useless. But this feels different. This feels like a team that has figured out how to beat the Knicks, no matter who's on the floor. Now, let's pivot to the Spurs. They beat the Suns by 27, but the Suns were without Devin Booker, 9 minutes, and Dylan Brooks, suspended. So the context matters. The Spurs win is impressive, but it's against a depleted opponent. The panel also touches on the broader tanking conversation. Adam Silver announced plans to implement new anti-tanking rules next season, including fewer protections on traded picks, freezing lottery odds at the trade deadline, and flattening odds for all lottery teams. Kornheiser is all for it. I'm gratified that the NBA is going to try and get rid of tanking. I believe that tanking is a much more serious problem than load management. It cuts to the heart of the integrity of each of those games. He points out that the Wizards have been trying to lose for 3 straight years. Utah, Sacramento, Brooklyn, Dallas, Milwaukee, Chicago, Memphis, the list goes on. I think it creates a fraud when you buy a ticket. And I think it destroys that thing which makes sports great, which is honest competition. Wilbon, as always, takes the contrarian view. He dismisses the proposals as cosmetic. These things are for show. They're stupid and they will not work. If you want to get rid of tanking, you better get rid of the draft. Because if you have a draft, any sport, and you say Wembanyama is at the top of the damn draft, then I'm gonna tank to get him. And anything other than that is a phony lie. He argues that freezing lottery odds just means teams will tank earlier. The only way to truly eliminate the incentive is to eliminate the draft entirely. Kornheiser counters, I would prevent you from tanking. I would work a system that prevents you from tanking because it calls into question the integrity of the entire league. The debate is as old as the draft itself, and it's not going away anytime soon. Finally, Jay Bealers joins to discuss the upcoming Michigan-Duke matchup and the incredible depth of this year's draft class. He calls it the most tank-worthy class he can remember. This freshman class, which is going to dominate this year's NBA draft in the first round, is as deep and talented as I can remember. We oftentimes have great players at the top, but we hardly ever have this kind of depth where you can go 20 deep saying, man, this dude's a starter in the NBA in the future and maybe even a star. That's why teams are tanking. That's why the Wizards are losing on purpose. The payoff at the end of the rainbow is too tempting to resist. What do you think? Are the Pistons for real, or will the Knicks figure them out in the playoffs? Is tanking a bigger problem than load management? And should the NBA eliminate the draft to stop teams from losing on purpose? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you love raw, unfiltered debate about the state of the game, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.